Hello and welcome to Magical Maidens Jewelry Tutorials. And today what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another holiday sparkly necklace using cardstock. Now I'm going to try to make as many as I can. This is all I have left of the silver cardstock. And what I'm going to be doing is using my die cut machine and my die cuts. Specifically the die cuts that make this shape. Now some of you might remember watching my sparkly holiday necklace where I cut a bunch of these. If you didn't go to my jewelry tutorial playlist on my channel, it's my second playlist on my channel, and you will see the necklace using red and green cutouts with the die cutting machine, and I use the die cutting machine in front of you and everything. Okay, now I use the cardstock, but this is another type of material I use sometimes. Unfortunately though, the die cutting machine doesn't cut the die cuts don't cut through this thick vinyl glittery material, but you can do it freehand if you print out some earring cutouts and you know trace it and make a template. Anyway, you could also use a Cricut machine to do that. So anyway, I'm going to use what I have to make as many of these shapes as possible. I'm going to use my die cut and just cut little slices because you have to do the front and the back. See? The front and the back, and then you glue it with some E6000 jewelry glue and a toothpick. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take this and get started right now. Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I need is this. I'm going to clear my spot here. What we're going to do is a bunch of different things that I haven't really decided yet. I'm going to make a chain using, so this is what I'm going to use. It's this shape. So I'm right here. Don't want to see me right now. I have my hair wet. I just came out of the shower. So this is the Sizzix Big Shot machine with the crank, and it comes with different platforms. If you haven't seen my other videos where I use it, go ahead and watch it. Okay, so I'm getting my platform out and the trays. But before I even use these, I'm going to cut out my shapes, and then I'm going to go ahead and start cutting them out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this shape out first, and I'm just going to position it so I don't cut too much because I only have this much left till I go to the store again, and just cut around it so I'm not wasting and I can get as much as I can, because remember I got to do the front and back. But for this tutorial, because I don't have enough, if I end up not having enough to do the front back, I'm just going to do the front just to show you. But obviously you would do the front and back like I showed you on that one piece. To line up when you have certain shapes of die cuts, see this with the raised edge is the blade, and you go down. So you would cut them like this, put them on your tray and cut them. But then when you want them to match up, you have to stick it then on the glittery side. And then what that does is it lines up. Otherwise, it wouldn't line up if you did it the same way, okay? See, I'm just cutting that. Now I'm going to continue doing that off camera, and then I'm going to cut them in front of the camera. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it on here. See, you don't need much, all right? And then I'm going to put it on my tray, and I'm going to put my other tray over it. Okay. Here we go. So I go forward, and then I go backwards, and then I go forward. And you don't have to do that, but I do that to make sure it has a clean cut. Okay. So I'm going to show you this. Hold on. I'm getting it ready. So it's going to look like this. Then we're going to pop it out. Okay, see, it didn't do a clean cut, but then you just go like that in case it doesn't do a complete clean cut. Okay, and you could always just trim any excess pieces that didn't come off with your scissor. And what you're going to get is something that looks like this. Okay, so now you have to get the pop-outs out. So take a crafting tool or a thumbtack or a toothpick. I have a crafting tool. There's a thin end and a thick edge. And then just go like that to pop it out. So I save these because we can use these later. You should always save these, like, because they're so precise and nicely cut that what I might do is actually I might actually cut it and glue it to the center, because look. So I may do that, but it's good to save for different projects just in case. Okay, never mind my cat. He thinks it's lunchtime, but he thinks it's time to eat 24/7. So we did it. Now you saw me do one like this. Now to get the back side, I think I have enough, because we're also going to have to use chain because I ran out of silver cardstock. So now instead of doing this, we're going to flip it over so this way we can match and glue the two ends. And I'm going to do that, and I put this over it. And now I'm going to stick my tray back in and crank it. Give it a good cut, go back, go forward, and we'll do this. So, see, this one came off much easier, okay? But now it's stuck on here. Okay, there's a trick. See these little holes that come on your die cuts? You take a pin, and see how it lifts it up and pops it out. They're not going to be perforated, so they're not going to show up in your design, see? Only these big things where the blades cut show up in your design. And so, I just want to show you something. So now see how they're going to match up? And that'll be the back and the front, which I'm just going to use some E6000 jewelry glue right here, and a toothpick when I'm done cutting them all and gluing them together. And you don't need much. You just have to take your time and gently spread a few, but do take your time, otherwise you'll make a mess with the E6000 glue. Don't use a glue gun. Okay, so I'm going to finish cutting the rest of these offline, and I'm going to go see if my cat will stop meowing. So I've gone ahead and cut these all out. Now the next step is to glue them. Now I'm going to use some E6000 jewelry glue and a toothpick because it's very fine. Now you can wear gloves because, you know, you don't want to get the glue. It is toxic. So you don't want to get this kind of glue all over you. And I would definitely wear gloves, but if not, just be careful. So first I'm gonna push that up, and it's some E6000 clear transparent glue. What I usually do, here's a trick, is I keep this in a cup because it stands up, and I take a few pieces of paper towel, and when I'm not using it, I keep a toothpick in there. So what I'm going to do now, and I have to get my bearings here, is I'm going to move these all out of the way, and I'm going to take this side, and you only need to glue one side. So I'm going to prevent the glue from spreading, I keep one in there, and now this is the part where you're going to want to take your time. Just going to spread some glue around. You don't want a lot, so just take from other spots and go around. Okay, and then when you need more, you go take more from the glue. And see, this prevents it from getting all over your hands and fingers. Oh, there's my other cat. It never ends. Okay. Okay, so I want to make sure I have enough glue. And then I'm going to just wipe my toothpick because I'm going to have to use it again. Make sure you don't have any on your hands or on your gloves, because now what we're going to do is we're going to put the other side on top of this. So I usually do that, and then I lift it up, and then I line it up. I just kind of slide it, sure that it's lined up and that you can't see the other side, the white of the other side. And you might have to just play with it a little bit. And the reason why I don't want you to put too much of it on is because it'll ooze out the other end. So now I take a good look, and if I'm happy with it, I leave it. So now you have one on both sides. So I'm going to continue doing that off camera, and when we come back, we'll construct our chain. Okay, so I've gone ahead and glued them, and I finished it all. Now I have only 7 pieces because I ran out of my silver cardstock, the silver glitter cardstock. But that's okay, because like I said before, we can improvise and make a chain. So these are going to dry, and then when I come back, we're going to configure out a way that we're going to hook these up. Okay, now it's time to assemble the chain. And I take my round nose and chain nose and some 6mm jump rings. So you want to see how they're going to lay, how you want them, so do a mock-up. Now you can use bigger jump rings like I did on my Christmas, the green and red ones using this, but I kind of like this more or less. Going to use them like this, and then for this side, it's just a chain going to be followed all the way around. So you want to keep track of which way you're facing the outer ones, whether it's going to be up or down. Otherwise you'll get them all attached and realize you attached them the wrong way. So I already did one, and you're going to just continue the chain. Again, this is a 6mm jump ring I'm using, and just gonna put that in there. They're not very big, but it'll keep them neat. If you can use whatever size you want, or whatever you want as connectors, maybe you can find some nice connectors, and you can continue that. Okay, so this is what I got so far. I'm going to continue that. Now again, I have to improvise because I ran out of the silver cardstock, and then I will probably fashion a chain, maybe making out of beads or just a chain. And then when I get more, I'll continue that, because that's the idea, to have this go all the way around. And I would prefer that. But for now, I've got to improvise. But you do it either way. If you happen to like to have just some of this and then a chain or what have you, beads, you can go right ahead and do it. But I think I prefer to have this go all the way around. Okay, so as you can see, I'm going to get my tools out of the way. Okay, so as you can see, I finished it. I used 6mm jump rings. Unfortunately, because I don't have any more of these to attach at this time, I'm going to have to improvise and put some kind of a chain there. Okay, so again, I don't have any more of this paper, I don't have any more of the glitter cardstock to finish making these, but you will. You will get enough sheets. One sheet should do it, but I had less than one sheet. But because you got to get the front and the back, and I should have added a few more depending on how long you want to make this chain. But because I don't have any more, I'm improvising and I'm using chain. Now I have this chain that came in a kit, and they're 3-inch pieces, so that'll help me, because I'm going to attach this with the 6mm, and I'm going to see if that wraps around my neck just where I want it, because I'm not sure how long I want. If you want a choker, chokers are typically 16 inches around. If you want it more of a necklace, 18 inches is the basic average necklace, unless you would like it longer. Okay, is I'm going to connect this. And I'm going to open my jump ring. And again, this is just the only option I have for now to put chain, but it really will look much better continuing the die cut circle pattern all the way up. Okay, so I've realized that it's going to be too short, so I'm going to attach 2 more of these. Now that might end up being too long, in which case I can just simply cut each one in half. Okay, so I've gone ahead and added 2 more pieces on each side of 3-inch chain with 6mm. So basically 4 6mm jump rings. So I'm going to check out the length and see if I like it. So now I'm a lefty, and you got to be careful. This is for the beginners. I make these videos for everybody, but mainly because beginners need to know every step. So you want to be sure when you're doing your lobster claw that you figure out which side that you prefer. Now I prefer, even though I'm a lefty, I prefer to have the lobster claw on the right. But you know, like when you're making them to sell or give as gifts, usually most people put them on the right. But if you know the person rather does it with the left hand, if you're making it for a friend, then go ahead and do that. But it should be facing the way you're going to pull this down. So the opening should be facing down, and then the lever to open it should be facing the top, because you're going to go like that. So just a little tip. Some people do it the other way. I mean, you could do it any way you want, really, but that's the proper way. Okay, so I'm going to put my 6mm chain, 6mm. So I'm going to put my 6mm jump ring through and get my lobster claw, and hopefully it fits through. Yes, it does. Okay, now I'm going to shut this. Now I'm going to close my jump ring. Listen for the click. Make sure it's shut, because you don't want to lose it. Okay, it's closed. And now that's the way it's going to hang. And now on the other side, I'm going to put my other 6mm jump ring. Now, sometimes I put a bigger jump ring because it's easier for me to find when it's in the back of my neck with the lobster claw. And I prefer, out of all the clasps, the toggles, the round ones, I prefer lobster claw. I actually use bigger ones. Okay, so there it is. Now, you see that's where the chain starts all by itself. I prefer it to be just like this, nothing hanging from it. See? So if you if you want it to look just like that and nothing hanging from it, you can do that. So here it is. It's all finished. And like I said, you can hang little things off of it like star beads or teardrop beads, or you can just leave it as is. I like it as is, so I'm going to leave it that way. I did, like I say, add the chain, and the chain is 6 inches on each side, and then you add your 6mm clasp, and then you add your 6mm jump rings. It's very easy to do if you have a die cutting machine. And the die cuts I used came in a 30 piece, and that 30 piece can be found on Amazon, and I will put the link below. So it's all finished, and on the right side, you notice that the left and right side are a little bit different. Now I ended it that way because eventually I'm going to add more of it, but you can make sure that the two ends match up properly. As you can see, I have the larger round circle. And again, I have the larger round circle on the left, but on the right, I have it facing the other way. And the reason why I did that is because I will continue in the future when I get more glitter paper. But you know, glitter cardstock. But you do it any way that you want to do it. I can switch it around and keep the chain. So I just wanted to point that out. I did know that that was different sided. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and please give it a like, subscribe, and click the notification bell. And if you have any comments, any questions about this tutorial, or you just want to say hello, leave that in the comment section. And I will see you in my videos. Bye.